Okay, so we had the kickoff press conference for Crawford Spence. Just want to give you my initial observations. Now, I don't read too much into body language and trash talk and all that kind of stuff when you're dealing with fighters who are this experienced. If it's green fighters, fighters who haven't been at the championship level at all or for very long, then in those instances, yeah, you can start looking into the body language and this, that, and the other. It might mean something. But when fighters are as experienced as these guys, when they're vets in the game, I don't tend to look into who wins the stare down match and all that kind of thing. I don't think it really matters most of the time. Be that as it may, I do get a certain vibe from fighters when I see them at a press conference, their demeanor, and this is being processed in my subconscious mind. So I can't really verbalize exactly why I'm sensing certain things all the time. All I can tell you is that in this instance, I felt more confidence in Errol Spence than in Terence Crawford based on this press conference. I'm not saying that Terence Crawford is going to lose the fight or Errol Spence going to win necessarily. I'm just saying that the way that press conference went, I liked Errol Spence's energy better than Terence Crawford's energy. I couldn't even, again, explain. I haven't analyzed my subconscious thought process with regards to this press conference deeply enough to really comprehend it, but that's the feeling I get. I was also a little surprised by how much taller Errol Spence is than Terence Crawford because I'd seen them face to face a number of times before, and I hadn't noticed Errol Spence being at least, an inch and a half, 2 inches taller. They appeared around the same height when I'd seen them face to face previously. Now, it could be that Errol Spence is wearing thick-soled shoes or he's got lifts in his shoes because some fighters do that. Vladimir Klitschko, for example, used to put stuff in his shoes to make him a couple inches taller. He did that in the run-up to, was it the rematch with Fury that never happened or the first fight? I forget which. But he would often do that to try and get a psychological edge over his opponent so he's looking down on them. I always thought it was kind of cheesy because it was obvious what he was doing, but there you go. That was his way. It's possible Errol Spence is doing that, or it's also possible that the previous times they'd met, Terence Crawford had thick-soled shoes on and it made it appear as though he was as tall as Spence. But in this face-off here, he appears shorter than Spence. And obviously height and reach are not everything in boxing. Skills pay the bills. An inch and a half in height, probably not going to make that much of a difference. Terence Crawford, at least on paper, has got the longer reach. Does that mean he's got the longer arms? Because arm length and reach are different measurements. If you didn't know, go look that up. But back to the original point. Has Crawford fought someone as big and strong as Spence? And Spence knows how to use that size and strength. It's not like you're dealing with a fighter who doesn't know how to get physical. He does. This is a well-rounded professional. All aspects of his game are very solid. Now, Terence Crawford is very strong too. I mean, we saw that in the Sean Porter fight because Sean Porter has tremendous physical strength and Crawford was able to handle that strength on the inside. Again, doing a better job than Errol Spence did. But how depleted was Sean Porter in that fight? I'm not talking about weight, I'm just talking about where he was in his career because he retired after that. Was he anywhere near as good as the version of Sean Porter that fought Spence? These are the questions going on in my mind. Now, Errol Spence has never been a big trash talker. He's got this very laid back demeanor, speaks in this slow southern drawl. Terence Crawford isn't exactly Muhammad Ali himself in terms of trash talk, but he's more animated than Spence for sure. But I just like the quiet, solid confidence that Spence exuded at this press conference. So those are my initial thoughts. I like the way Spence acquitted himself at the press conference. Again, doesn't mean I'm necessarily picking him to win, but his energy gave me confidence in him. And you can definitely get misled by reading too much into a fighter's energy at press conferences. When a fighter can really talk a good game and all that kind of thing, you can end up believing in them. On fight night, though, they turn up and get the brakes beat off them and you're like, wow, I can't believe I got sucked in. I should have ignored all the press conference stuff and just focused on their performances in the ring of late. So I'm very cognizant of that. Nevertheless, that's how I saw it. Let me know how you saw it in the comment section.